Hey guys, Special K here. This video is to actually share my buying journey for my 2025 Civic Type R that you see right behind me. And it's also to share tips for those actively looking for a Civic Type R, but you live in a state where your dealerships are charging ridiculous markups. So I live here in San Diego, California, and when I started to actively look for my Type R or for a Type R, I contacted at least 30 dealerships. So from San Diego County all the way up to NorCal. And not one dealership was going to sell their Type R for MSRP. The championship white specifically, some dealerships were asking for 10 to 15K over MSRP, which I found to be just ridiculous. To me, that's greed. Honda engineered and built this car to be sold at MSRP, and that's the price it should be sold to. That's the price it should be sold at to consumers. But if people, if people continue to pay MSRP, I'm sorry, if people continue to pay markups on top of MSRP to these California dealerships, this type of greedy behavior is going to continue. So for those of you watching this and you live in California or you live in a state where your local dealerships do charge a markup, don't pay it. Your Civic Type R is out there. And if it means going out of state to purchase one, it'll be worth it. But for my Type R, I I found it over in Dublin, Ohio. So it's Germain Honda of Dublin, and I have two requirements. So one was I wanted one that was in transit, and then second, it had to be championship white. And third, actually, is going to be that it must be MSRP. I called the dealership as soon as I found it, spoke to the salesperson, and he confirmed that they've never sold any of their Type Rs above MSRP. So that was great. I immediately placed a deposit to secure the vehicle, and he let me know that the vehicle would arrive to the dealership in about like 2 weeks. So that gave me plenty of time to search for an auto transport company to transport my car from Ohio to California. Doing research there, I got several quotes. Well, more than several, at least like 15 to 20. It ranged from 800 all the way to like 2600. So 800 would be like an open carrier. 2600 on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. On the higher end, it's going to be the 2600 for an enclosed carrier. So I was okay with an open carrier. It's just finding the right company. Putting your trust in a company that can move your vehicle and it not getting damaged, right? You don't want that. So I actually stumbled upon Goliath Auto Transport after just searching on Facebook as well as Reddit. Goliath Auto Transport kept on coming up. So after I found the company Goliath Auto Transport, I did more digging, and I found that like Porsche owners and Ferrari owners have actually used this company, and I was like, wow, their reviews are great. Great feedback from the owners that have used them for auto transportation. So I contacted Goliath Auto Transport, and they quoted me $1,300 to transport my car from Ohio to California. And then they answered all my questions. They were very patient with me, very responsive to text messages and phone calls. So that was awesome. I want to work with a company that's very communicative and can answer all my questions with confidence. So now that we found a dealership that was selling the Type R MSRP, I found the auto transport company. Here are a couple tips that you can request from your sales rep. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the list here. So starting with the first one is you want to actually request. Again, these are all optional. You can modify this list as you see fit. But for myself, is I asked for the sales rep to keep the OEM floor mats in the plastic bag and just place paper floor mats on all four seating positions. Two is leave the plastic seat covers on the car on both driver and passenger seats. Three, protect key fobs from getting marred up when they're handed over to the transport company. When the vehicle has landed, this is something you definitely want to do, is make sure your sales rep sends photos, very detailed photos of the interior and exterior of the car, as well as a video walkthrough. Fifth is don't have any of the technicians remove any of like the protective film that's on the exterior of the car. So for my car, there was a protective film in the door cups as well as the lower door. Make sure that no holes are drilled into the front bumper. And then if no holes are drilled into the front bumper, make sure they also include the front license plate bracket. For myself, I won't be using it, but I wanted it because it does come with the vehicle. Another thing you want to ask for is to not have them wash the car. So you don't want any new swirls introduced to the vehicle. So make sure the car's not washed. And then lastly is, and this is just personal preference, is I didn't want them to fill the car with gas. So I'm not sure if those of you watching are aware, but when it comes from the Honda factory, it's the fuel tank is it's almost dry. So I didn't want to have them fill it with 87 because I figured that's what they would use, the cheapest gas. So I requested specifically to not fill the car with gas. So now that we have covered making sure to finding a dealership that's selling the Type R for MSRP, finding an auto transport company, and then emailing your sales rep, whoever you're working with on those tips that I just shared. So we got those three covered. So for my vehicle, it arrived from Honda to the dealership on a Wednesday morning, I believe. I wire transfer the money to pay the vehicle so that I could release it to the auto transport company. And I was able to schedule for the auto transport company to come on a Friday morning. So it was on the lot for, let's call it 2 days before it was picked up. When it arrived here in San Diego, it arrived in perfect condition, but it's always safe. Maybe bring a friend with you when the car arrives, and you can just thoroughly inspect the car from front to back and also the interior, just making sure that there's no scratches and it's in the condition that you expect it to be in. So for myself, the car arrived perfect, no issues at all. And then after the car arrives, you're gonna have to, well, this is gonna be specific for California. I'm not sure the laws that apply to the state that you live in, but for California residents, even though this car is brand spanking new, you're gonna have to get it smogged. So my lesson learned here is I should have driven the car around more so the emission system was ready, but I failed to do that because I didn't know that it needed to be emissions ready for smog. So what I did was when I took delivery, I basically a few days later I drove from my house to the smog center, and the technician said your car didn't pass smog because your car isn't emissions ready. So in order for a car to be emissions ready, you're gonna have to drive it for about 80 to 100 miles. And there's like a process that the car goes through. So you could like cruise at like 55 miles or like basically car, I believe. And that should accelerate the process of having your vehicle emissions ready. But for myself, I just drove like 80 miles and it was ready. What I did was I just purchased like this OBD2 scanner, plugged it into the port, and there's basically green check boxes letting you know that it's ready for smog. So for myself, I just basically just flush $40 down the toilet. So hopefully this video, if you watch this video, you avoid making that same mistake. So after smog, you're gonna have to go to your local DMV and go through a VIN verification process. That process is fairly quick. For myself, it took about like 30 minutes from waiting to getting the inspection done. And then as far as the registration process goes, so I did pay, I believe, 5% taxes to the dealership in Ohio, but the state tax here in California, at least for my county, is 7.75. So I did have to pay the difference, the 2.75 difference in taxes upon registration. So the recap here is, first, don't pay over MSRP for your Type R. Please do not pay over MSRP for your Type R. There is a Type R out there for you at MSRP, even if it means going out of state. Second is find a reliable auto transport company. So for myself, I found Goliath Auto Transport, and you're welcome to contact them too. I'm sure you'll find them to be very helpful. And third is those tips that I shared earlier in my video. Email those requests to your sales rep. Again, you can modify them as you see fit, but just make sure those requests are followed. And then fourth is the smog and registration. So smog, just make sure your car's emissions ready. If you drive to the smog center, they can just plug in their computer and they can tell you if it's emissions ready or not. It's not going to cost you anything. If it is, great, go with the smog. If not, drive it around some more until it is. And then the registration, I mean, for me, it was a pretty easy process, surprisingly, but that you know, that can vary depending on where you're located in California. But I hope this video was helpful to you for those actively looking for a Civic Type R. If you have any questions or comments, whether it's good or bad, just post it. This video is just meant to help others, and just really I want this video to, you can basically extract information in this video to help enhance your buying experience. Yeah, but please like and subscribe, and yeah, please stay tuned for new content that I will be posting here in the next week or two. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.